Treasurer, what happens if the resources boom goes bust, which it will eventually? You lose all that revenue, yet you're still committed to paying a cut in company taxes and an increase in superannuation guarantee charges.
Well, we don't pretend that the resources boom will necessarily stay at the 60-year highs that it is at the moment.
Well, it won't.
But no, it certainly won't, and I said that yesterday when we were having the discussion publicly about this. But in terms of our forward forecast, we do expect our terms of trade to be higher than the historical average, and that will mean a higher level of profitability, although not necessarily at the level that we're experiencing now, and that is factored into all of our forecasts.
Would it be more responsible to put all this revenue raised from the super profits tax and save it for a rainy day for when the boom goes bust, so that we still get that income?
That would be to sell the country short and make the same mistake that the country made in the last resources boom. What we have to do
in the last resources boom, you say the government spent it, handed it back in tax cuts. I'm talking about saving it.
Well, what I'm talking about is investing it in capacity. What I'm talking about is investing it in critical infrastructure in mining communities. What I'm talking about is giving a tax cut to small business and other companies over time, because they tend to suffer in the environments that come with mining booms because the value of the dollar is higher, they find it harder to get labour. That's why we need to put greater incentive into the system for all of the other companies so that we can, as a country, so we can grow together, not grow apart. That is why this is a total package that I was talking about before. What we're doing in super, what we're doing in infrastructure, what we're doing in resource taxation is all linked together so that we can meet the challenges of a mining boom and maximise the opportunities that will flow to Australia in the years ahead.
Opposition leader Tony Abbott says he's deeply, profoundly hostile to this great big new tax, this mining super profits tax. He says you're handicapping our strongest athlete. If this legislation is blocked in the Parliament, what then happens to the rest of it?
First of all,
the cut in company taxes and the increased superannuation guarantee charge.
Well, I've already made it very clear yesterday that we can't deliver this package without delivering the resource super profits tax. I made that very clear. It's entirely dependent upon that. The opposition somehow wants to support measures on small business. They want to support measures on company taxation, but they don't actually know how they're going to pay for it. Look, in terms of Tony Abbott, he's already got a tax on companies of 1.7% that he announced some time ago across the board, so that's a bit rich coming from him. But if Tony Abbott actually has a policy about anything, would he just tell us what it is, apart from putting his own tax on companies? What is Tony Abbott's approach to policy? We simply don't know. He just goes out there and says no to so many things, but he doesn't have any alternative policy framework whatsoever.
The disappointment, I think, or the fact that some of the response seems to be people underwhelmed by your response to the Henry Review, is that you've said no to most of the recommendations of the Henry Tax Review. 130 recommendations, you've signed off on 4 of them. Can we expect more announcements in the budget or in the lead up to the election, or will the rest of the Henry Tax Review's efforts be quietly binned?
Well, I just reject that categorisation completely, Fran. As I said before, not every recommendation has the same economic impact. We've taken a large slice of this report and put it into a very big reform package. There are some things in this report that we have said we would never do, and I made that clear from the very start. There would always be some of the recommendations we would disagree with. There are other recommendations in here which will be discussed for some time to come. What I outlined yesterday was our program for the next period ahead. If we're re-elected, what we will do, and the package that I outlined is for that period as we go forward. But there will be many matters in this report which will be discussed for a long period of time.
Treasurer, thank you very much for joining us on Breakfast.
Thank you.